Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here and Gold Disney member Anthony Rivardo. I always make fun of him with his little Mickey Mouse t-shirt. For the boys, of course, you have the Mickey Mouse t-shirt, and I know people like that one for some odd reason, but it's nice. Hopefully next time he has a Cinderella t-shirt on so we can make fun of him. Gold membership. He is on his Disney flow, but I'll tell you what. My Disney World, talking about the Giants, and I think we have some exciting topics today for you guys, especially regarding first-round pick and 20th overall selection, Kadarius Toney, and a few things to talk about. And, one of them is going to be, why is he not attending OTAs? That's a big one. And the second thing is why we think he can be the Cowboy-Killer for 2021. Kadarius Toney, as we know, is one of the most elusive wide receivers in this past draft class. He had a 35% missed tackle rate forced and 1,145 yards from scrimmage and 11 total touchdowns. The guy was an absolute menace for Florida and really got overshadowed because of Kyle Pitts and what he offered that offense. But I'm excited to talk about why he could end up becoming the Cowboy-Killer for 2021 and the future because of their weak secondary like we talked about yesterday. But also, what is up with him in OTAs? Why is he not attending? Is this normal? Why we shouldn't be scared about it? And, people are blowing this up way out of proportion. And I kind of want to get to the bottom of that. And so you guys feel comfortable with this process and why he is not attending voluntary workouts. So I'm excited to dive into this, Anthony. But before we dive into all of it, how you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm just a little tired. I did go to Disney World yesterday. I am the Mickey Mouse man on this podcast, but I did have a nice fun time. Went over to Epcot, had some Zeppelis. They were out of cannolis, so I cried, and it was really sad, but they did have some gelato, some stracciatella, really good. So now I'm ready. Had a nice day yesterday. Ready to dive back into some Giants football, even though I did yesterday as well. Never missing a day. Elite content always on Fireside Giants. But Kadarius Toney, the tackle-breaking machine, the human joystick, the knee shredder. I mean, we've seen him literally shred people's knees into oblivion with juke moves. Chipotle. I can't wait to watch him play. He is nuts, and I think that, you look at him not being at OTAs, okay, they're voluntary anyway. I don't see it as too much of a problem. I know Ryan Dunleavy said that Saquon Barkley went to OTAs before he ever signed. Okay, that's Saquon Barkley. It's not Kadarius Toney. Maybe Kadarius has something, we don't know why he's not there. People are speculating. They're concerned about it. He might have a very good reason for not being there, and we don't know that. He might not have a very good reason, and he doesn't need a very good reason because they're voluntary. So I personally don't see it as a problem, but, we'll get into what it really means and all that. But, in terms of him potentially being a Cowboy killer or even just a divisional killer, you look around this division, those are clear lack of talent at slot cornerback, and I think Kadarius Toney is going to expose that all year long, so that's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to see him get on the field. Hopefully he does show up to the OTAs at some point just so we can see some clips of him running some routes and everything. And then, of course, once we get to preseason and the regular season, I cannot wait to see him on the field in padding, breaking ankles, and making nice catches, so I'm excited.
Absolutely. I mean, look, with Kadarius Toney, let's talk about, the OTAs for a second, why I'm not worried about this at all. Rookies, especially first-round rookies, take a little bit longer to sign their contracts. This is a pretty ordinary thing for the NFL. They want to get their guarantees settled. I know they have a specific amount of money that they are going to make, but not always is it fully guaranteed, depending on a position, whatever it might be. So they want to take their time. This is a process. They want to make sure that Kadarius Toney gets the most money and he gets the most guarantees. I mean, think about it this way. The guy went to rookie camp, an equipment manager didn't get the right cleat size, and he almost pulled his calf because of it. You know what I mean? He's like, damn, well, the guy didn't even give me the right shoe. How am I supposed to depend on them to keep me healthy? I might as well just do my own thing right now and really just, take the time to enjoy this, little bit of free time before football really starts up and gets rolling. And I think, making sure he gets the money portion situated first and foremost is essential, and they're getting that figured out. It should be done within the next couple of weeks, next couple of days even. And, you look at players like Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa, one of the best defenders in the NFL for the Chargers. The guy didn't show up to camp until late August, and he ended up playing his rookie season and was totally fine. Then he signed his contract. People are already jumping to the conclusions he doesn't want to play for the Giants. He doesn't want to be in New York. I guarantee you it's just about the money. Joey Bosa even said it. The quote said when Bosa went through this similar thing, he literally was like, this is not up to me. I want to be with the team, but I'm going to let my managers and my agents figure this out. This is their job. I trust them to figure this out for me. They did it, and now he's on the team, and it's what it is. This is not a narrative we should be harping on, and I think that for the most part, Kadarius Toney not being at voluntary workouts, considering what just happened to Jawan James and Deshaun Hamilton. They both got injured, of course, outside of the facility, but they just cut them with no craps given. They just really were like, whatever, screw them. Kadarius Toney doesn't even have his contract signed yet, so there's a reason he's not there. There's a reason for everything. And I believe this is just being way overblown. So let's just move on from that, because Kadarius Toney is going to be a New York Giant. He's obviously excited. He walked up to our 4 Super Bowl trophies and said, I got to get me one of those. He walked by Saquon Barkley's locker and he said, that guy's a dog. He wants to be with the Giants. Like, let's not get crazy. Let's not jump to any negative conclusions. It's just a process. This happens all the time. Let's look over at why he could be a Cowboy-Killer, though. And I think Kadarius Toney has the ability to absolutely shred the Cowboys. And we talked about this yesterday on the episode why divisional opponents this year are a must-win games for the Giants. And I'll tell you what, the Cowboys in Dallas have a terrible secondary. They didn't do much to solve that position. They really drafted only Kelvin Joseph, who might be able to make a day one impact. They lost Chido Awuzie. They signed DeMonte KZ from Atlanta. They also brought in Dan Quinn as their defensive coordinator. But their slot corner is Jordan Lewis, and he was really bad last year. He had 614 snaps at the position. He finished with a 45.8 overall coverage grade. He allowed 492 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's a 4-year veteran, so he's got some experience, but he's a solid tackler in the run game and in that short portion of the field. But Toney's so agile, so quick. I don't think there's going to be a chance that he's able to stop him. Like, Jordan Lewis is their slot corner, and he's not very good. He's average at best. He obviously allowed a ton of yards, almost 500 total yards, over 614 snaps. And I'll tell you what, I don't think there's many slot corners that can hang with Kadarius Toney to begin with. Just his quick twitch abilities, what he offers when he's healthy. And, Anthony, like, when you're looking at this Dallas secondary, do you think that, he might be the Cowboy-Killer? He might be that catalyst that we need to finally put them on their toes, to finally give them a reason to be scared of the Giants. Because when you have a route runner who can run those zig routes and those slants and just those drag routes across the line of scrimmage, those what do they call them? The slide routes right over the line of scrimmage, and those routes is where he really dominates. He gets the ball in space, and they give him time, give him space in the open field, and he can make those cuts, Anthony. So when you're looking at Kadarius Toney, do you think he can really be that guy that takes our offense to another level against Dallas, specifically with their weaknesses in the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys secondary, it is really, really weak. Like, it's not good. But one thing that I'll say, I'm going to do a little bit of devil's advocate play, a little counterpoint here for Kadarius Toney. They have very good linebackers. Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons, Jalen Smith, and even Jabril Cox is a solid backup that they're going to try and develop. So if you do want to say Kadarius Toney is going to, destroy their slot corner, Jordan Lewis, I'm like, hell yeah, he probably will. But these are good linebackers, so going over the middle of the field is not always going to be the easiest task. I think what you're going to see with Kadarius, and we did see this with him at UF, he had a really, really nice whip route. So you could see him run a lot of whip routes to the outside, a lot of quick outs, a lot of screen passes, and just really torch the slot cornerback through those types of plays. Only cause for concern is that when he's running over the middle, he's going to have to be careful of guys like Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons, super, super fast linebackers right there, hard hitters. That's the only thing. But in terms of that secondary, I mean, Kadarius Toney is a vertical threat. If you've watched him play, he is a fast player. He's going vertical. DeMonte KZ, toast. He's going right past him. Donovan Wilson, their starting strong safety projected, toast. Kadarius Toney's toasting that. And then I don't even know if their outside cornerbacks could really do much against Kadarius Toney. Kelvin Joseph, a rookie out of Kentucky, I mean, he's a good player, but, I'm taking Kadarius Toney, and even might take Kadarius Toney against Trayvon Diggs, who was good as a rookie but struggled a lot and needs to develop. I think Kadarius Toney and really all of the Giants receivers could be Cowboys killers this year, as long as the rest of the team pulls their weight. I mean, this is a really, really bad secondary. I think that you're going to see the Giants receivers absolutely have a field day against some of these guys, and Kadarius Toney especially, as they try to work him in against a weaker, opponent at slot cornerback. I think this is definitely the way to get him acclimated with the NFL game in an exciting fashion. Match him up with a really crappy slot corner and just let him feast and go to work and have a field day.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this Giants wide receiver core, they all could be Cowboy killers this year. I mean, we know what Saquon can do. And just a little touch up on Saquon's situation. I just watched, his injury. They're bringing him on slowly, and then Jordan Renato reported this from ESPN as well. They're bringing him on slowly. They're not going to rush his return, and I think that's why they went out and spent a little bit more on Devontae Booker, because I think they see him as a 3-down back, and they think he can supplement the loss of Barkley in the short term, maybe week 1 and 2, just to ease Barkley back into play. He's not going to be available for OTA. He's not going to be available for training camp most likely. He's going to have to ramp his way up in preseason and really get things together, because he didn't really have much time to experience Jason Garrett's scheme last year and those base concepts. So he's going to have to learn those again. He's going to have to get going physically, and applying what you have mentally onto the field can sometimes be difficult, especially coming off an injury where he tore his ACL, MCL, and partially tore his meniscus, which they managed to repair and not replace, which is actually a very positive thing. It's way better to repair a meniscus than to replace a meniscus. The healing process will help these other ligaments as well. It's actually a slight positive. So I think that for the most part, Barkley will be back 100%, but it's going to take time. You don't want to rush an injury like that. I saw a doctor. He really gave a good analysis and analogy as for Dalvin Cook, who rushed his way back from an ACL injury and ended up with like a ton of hamstring issues because of it. So your whole leg's connected, and they really want to take it slowly and efficiently with Saquon Barkley, making sure he's 100% healthy. He's not going to have any, secondary injuries because of this knee issue. So I'm pretty optimistic, and I think that's going to be a big sign for the Giants. And of course, we want him back for that Dallas game specifically. And Kenny Golladay, that big 6'4" wide receiver on the outside against Anthony Miller or Anthony Harris. Was it Anthony Miller, Anthony Harris? One of those two that are cornerbacks for Anthony Brown. My bad. Anthony Brown, the cornerback for Dallas. Cheeto Uzie is gone. Byron Jones gone. They have Kelvin Joseph. God forbid they put Kelvin Joseph against Kenny Golladay. It's going to be a field day. But I think Kadarius Toney really leaves his mark on this contest specifically, because I know they have good linebackers, but Leighton Vander Esch, he's injury prone. That has proven to be injury prone, and they really they declined his 5th-year option, which says a lot about him already. And Micah Parsons is very raw in pass coverage. We know this. He's a really good run stopper, but if you put Micah Parsons in the slot, or you're expecting him to cover Kadarius Toney, we're going to feast all game long. There's no way Micah Parsons is keeping up with Kadarius Toney. And I love Micah Parsons as much as the next guy as a player specifically, but there's no freaking way he's keeping up with Kadarius Toney. And he's really a run stopper. He's going to be playing. He's going to be blitzing, playing the run. He's not going to be dropping back into coverage very often, and that's where Kadarius Toney is going to take advantage of that space right behind him. But, Anthony, when you're looking at Kadarius Toney's route concepts and what you expect him to really focus on in year one, whether it just be slants, short, intermediate stuff, do you think the Giants could also push the field vertically with him up the seams and really use that speed to go deep? Because I know they like the spray fades out of the slot, which I could see them attacking with Kadarius Toney as well. But do you think they're kind of like focusing on him as a short to intermediate range guy, or are they going to push him downfield and really have him use that speed, or rather give him the ball in short areas and let him use the after the catch abilities to make his plays?
Yeah, I definitely think that he's going to be used in the short to intermediate area. And of course, they're going to utilize the yards after the catch thing because, as you mentioned earlier, 35% missed tackle rate, absolutely incredible. Like, people just can't tackle him. They cannot bring him down. He makes everyone miss, and that's the biggest strength of his game. But another really underrated strength to Kadarius Toney's game is his route running. Not vertical, but his underneath route running. Like I mentioned earlier, that whip route, he runs some really good intermediate routes, like very surprisingly good routes. And I think, his hips are just so fluid. They flip so fast. Like, he can cut one way and another. And the way that you see him cut when he's running with the ball in his hands translates to the way you see him cut when he's running without the ball in his hands, when he's running routes to get open. Against man coverage, you're going to have a really, really tough time guarding Kadarius Toney because he's so quick and elusive. He's going to cut one way, cut another, and he's going to be wide open in the flats or over the middle, that kind of thing. So, of course, I think, he's going to be utilized in that fashion. Intermediate, short route running, phenomenal. But the Giants are going to need to run a lot more screen passes, jet sweeps, all those plays that you just generate yardage for Kadarius Toney, those plays that are built in for Kadarius Toney, those screen passes, bubble screens, wide receiver screens from the outside even. Get it to Kadarius Toney, let him read the field, let him run upfield and make people miss and go, because that's what he does best, making people miss and going. So that's really how they're going to utilize him, I think. All those short routes, the screens, that stuff. But I do think that you could potentially see him, run some vertical routes on occasion just because he does have that speed to threaten defenses vertically. Like, he is a fast player. He can go long. I think Kenny Galladay is going to be our number one vertical threat. But after that, if you're talking about straight speed, just going deep with a speedy receiver, I think Kadarius Toney is the fastest wide receiver that we have on our roster, and I think that he's going to torch defenses with his speed and then also with his pretty really solid route running underneath. So I'm excited. I think they have a lot of different ways that they can use him. I think they're going to use him in a lot of different ways, and I think that he's going to really find his role in this offense to be very versatile and dynamic. And I think he's going to do a lot of things in the passing game with Daniel Jones.
Agreed. I want to see them get super creative with this guy. I mean, I was just watching a couple explosive plays from Baltimore and the way they use some of their gadget players, even the running backs. Kadarius Toney, the Gettleman said it best. He's a wide receiver that runs like a running back, and I want to see them get creative with the jet sweeps, get creative with the end arounds, get creative with the wide receiver bubble screens, and get him open in space. Allow him to use that yak to maximize his potential and get those yards that we know he can get. And I think that's really where Golden Tate failed to make an impact last year. The guy just did not have that same burst, did not have that same ability in the open field that he once did. Those legs were running out of juice real quick. So I think now the Giants have an opportunity to really get Kadarius Toney and put him in a position where he's going to be like Golden Tate on steroids, or like even a younger Golden Tate in the fast set, that he will be able to make plays after the catch. I think he's a vastly different player than Golden Tate, but in that respect, yards after catch is where he dominates, and he has such a low center of gravity. He has such tremendous balance in the open field. He always gets hit first and never goes down. So it's a really great sign to see a player like that, and I'm really excited to see what he can do at the NFL level. But, that's kind of the primary reasons I feel as though he will be a Cowboy-Killer. They don't have a great slot corner in Jordan Lewis. It's going to be a really nice matchup to expose for the Giants, especially if they don't bring in anybody else, which I don't think they are going to, since they drafted 3 cornerbacks there. But yeah, that nickel position is a mess for them. Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard should feast on the inside when they have the opportunity. But I do want to jump over to one last topic, and that is the OTAs that were hosted on Thursday, today. And I want to talk about a little of what's going on there, who's in attendance, who's not in attendance. And one really great sign was the entire offensive line was participating in OTAs today. They had Andrew Thomas, Lemieux, Gates, Hernandez, Parrott, Nate Solder, Jonathan Harrison, Zach Fulton, Kyle Murphy, all in attendance. And the guys that were starting primarily up front, Andrew Thomas at left tackle, Shane Lemieux at left guard, interesting to note there, Nick Gates at center, Will Hernandez at right guard, and Matt Peart at right tackle. So Hernandez at right guard is a great sign because it means he's been cross-training with Duke Manyweather, and I think that's a really good a good move for him to cross-train at both those positions, because I think, if they really want Lemieux to be that left guard for them moving forward, they need Hernandez to step up big time. And if he can really hold it down at right guard, I think we're going to be in good shape. I think he can do it. I'm not too worried about him. I have pretty high expectations for him this year for whatever reason. I feel confident after coming back from COVID. He was injured last season and a new scheme and no in-person training. So a lot of different factors there. Kelvin Benjamin moving well. He's getting more comfortable at tight end, so that's a good sign for Kelvin. He could actually make this 53 roster. We'll see. But, he's got a long way to go. Another guy that we really love, Fadio Denabo. He's been working at outside linebacker, is what he told us specifically. He's excited to be working at outside linebacker. He did it in the past. And he's really going to fit whatever mold the Giants put him in, and I think that's the big sign for Ifedi. He's going to be a tremendous player for us. He was the best Minnesota pass rusher last year. Picked up 7 sacks in 2019. I think he about 3 or 4 last year. But he's a quality player. The guy can play 3 tech. He can play 4-eye. He can play 5 tech. And he can play outside linebacker. He's got some size, some really good power, has a good power to speed transition. And I think he's going to do some good things for this Giants defensive line, at least offer some high-end depth if he's not starting. But I think he's going to get a lot more starting reps than we think. What else is going on here? A lot of the defensive backs did not attend OTAs today. Majority of them are working with Logan Ryan down in Florida, and I think the coaching staff trusts Logan Ryan to get them in shape, get the chemistry going with those starters. Art Stapleton said that a lot of the DBs that were in attendance on Thursday probably aren't going to make the roster anyway. So, Anthony, of those things that I said, if you have anything to add to, the narrative with OTAs today, what are you seeing? What are you thinking about some of these guys? This offensive line, the Will Hernandez thing is super interesting. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I do think the Will Hernandez thing is super interesting. I think also interesting and exciting, really exciting for me, Matt Parrott getting the start off the bat at right tackle. You mentioned that Nate Solder is there, and they didn't have him starting at right tackle. They had Matt Parrott starting at right tackle, which is a really good sign for myself, one of these Matt Parrott super fans for no reason. I mean, I've got my reasons, but I just really hope that he wins that starting right tackle job, and I really think that he will. And I do think that it's a great sign to see him starting there off the bat to begin OTAs, and hopefully that'll continue throughout the summer, through training camp, preseason, and hopefully into the regular season. I do think the Will Hernandez thing at right guard is very interesting because we know that he has been working really hard with Duke Manyweather to prepare for this season after really struggling the past couple of years. Shane Lemieux starting at left guard, I mean, probably saw that coming. Still scares the living heck out of me. I don't know how well he's going to do. I wasn't a big fan of the way that he played last year. Thought that he struggled tremendously in pass protection. Decent run blocker, but hopefully, at OTAs, you got to think, last year, these rookies, they didn't have OTAs. They didn't really have like a normal training camp and an OTA offseason to really get in all this extra training and learning from the coaching staff. Maybe that's what Shane Lemieux needed. Hopefully, he'll go to these OTAs, he'll train, he'll get familiar with the coaching staff, familiar with his teammates, and maybe he'll be a much better pass protector next season than he was this past year because of these OTAs. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's my vote of confidence for Shane Lemieux. He's got all the time in the world to practice, to train, and get better in pass protection. So hopefully that's what happens. We see him starting there at left guard already. Will Hernandez at right guard. I do think that Will Hernandez has trained really hard this offseason, and I think that he could bounce back and return to his rookie form this year. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how well he makes the transition to right guard, because we've heard a lot in the past that that's not the easiest thing for offensive linemen to do, to switch sides on the offensive line. That can be a real struggle for them sometimes, but I'm confident. I'm hopeful, at least. If I'm not that confident, I'm definitely hopeful in Will Hernandez at right guard. And I think that, my main takeaway from day one of OTAs is that, offensive line is there, all there, getting ready, getting together. Not worried about the corners not being there. I think Kenny Galladay is also absent. Again, I don't really care. These guys, they're voluntary. They're probably getting their work in elsewhere, and then they'll show up in a couple of days and they'll, familiarize themselves with their teammates and everything. So really the only thing for us is I'm just so excited to see Kadarius Toney and Kenny Galladay catch some passes from Daniel Jones. So I'm just eager to see that. So that's the only reason I'm like, damn it, why aren't they at OTAs? That's so annoying. I want to see some really cool clips on Twitter. That's really all it is to me. I think it's all going to be fine. They're not holding out for money or anything, obviously. I mean, Kadarius Toney's just playing it safe because he doesn't even have a contract with the team yet. So I think, they'll be back in a few days. They'll be at OTAs, and it'll be exciting. And we'll get those Twitter clips, and we'll update you with those Twitter clips and put them in our videos, and it will be really, really exciting. So I can't wait for that. Should be a fun summer, and looking forward to training camp eventually, since fans are going to be there, and we will see you guys there.
Yeah, absolutely, my friends. And, as some more quotes trickle in from the beats, one of the more interesting ones, Blake Martinez saying that Azeez Ojulari looks like a freak on the field. He looks freaky is what they're saying. So, he's 20 years old. Guy is lanky. He's got some bend to him. He's a big kid, strong and physical. I really like what he had to say. And Blake Martinez, another interesting thing he said was about Danny Shelton, our new interior defensive tackle, to replace Dalvin Thomas. And Blake Martinez is cracking jokes at this point. He's like, I literally cannot see double teams. He's like, the guy is so freaking big. I literally can't even see the double teams he's soaking up in the middle of the defense. So that's a good sign, right? I'd say that's probably a good sign, considering the Giants need someone to really come in and solve that spot, I would imagine. And, I think he's a very large human being. Yeah, I mean, Blake Martinez is cracking jokes now. He's asking about his Charmander Pokemon cards, and interesting. Blake Martinez joked, he says, Shelton was a first-round pick in 2015 because he's like getting 3 picks in one because he's so big. Just an absolute tank of a human being. I actually am excited to see him play. He's a good player. He has some injury history in the past, but Danny Shelton's no joke. Not a bad replacement for Dalvin Tomlinson. Obviously not as young. Has had his issues. Dalvin Tomlinson's never missed a game in his career. But Danny Shelton, man, no joke. He's the real deal. They could extract some good stuff out of there. Lorenzo Carter, of course, we know he tore his Achilles last year, and he's coming back 100% healthy. He's running around. He's doing his thing out there, and I'm really excited to see what he has to offer, because he was coming on pretty nicely last season before the injury took its toll and he missed the entire campaign. Same with Ocean Eximitas. But Carter, he's been working, and I'll give you a little insight into what we have planned. Carter's been working with Bruce Lombard, and he is basically an MMA trainer to help develop his hand fighting in the trenches and really like be able to shed blocks, shed those hands from offensive tackles and guards and whoever he was really up against. And he's been working with that tremendously. And we're going to interview Bruce next week to get a better idea of, why this is so important. What is this meant to do? Why is this such an important factor in his game? He's also training with Ocean Eximitas, and the Giants are bringing in Bruce to help with the entire defensive line, to help with their hand fighting in the trenches. So we'll get some good insight from him on the development. Oh, sorry about that. We'll get some insight into the development of Ocean Eximitas and Lorenzo Carter, and why they're utilizing this new hand workouts and training, and the importance of it moving forward. So I'm excited to talk to Bruce about that. He hit me up and wanted to come on and get on the Fireside Giants channel for you guys. And of course, guys, I think this pretty much wraps it up for the offensive OTAs for today, and Kadarius Toney, the Cowboy-Killer, and why I think we think he's going to be such a tremendous force for the Giants this upcoming season. But we have a new memberships profile coming out on YouTube, so you can sign up for that. It's a small monthly charge. We're going to offer videos like early, so you can, if you're a part of the membership program, you can visit them early. We'll be posting early stuff, ranging from articles to pictures to edits that you can use for social media. We're going to be doing giveaways on the membership channel side, and we're going to be doing exclusive interviews that you'll have access to before anybody else. And these interviews are going to be no joke. We have some big ones coming up. I just spoke to Aaron Robinson's agent this morning, and he said he wants to come on. So we're going to do Aaron Robinson soon, which is a big one. Between you and I, if you're listening right now, I've been emailing back and forth with Kadarius Toney's marketing agent, so we'll see if we can get him on in the near future. Would be a massive one. If we can get Kadarius Toney on, it'll be worth the membership. And I think you guys will really enjoy this exclusive level content. We'll do some film breakdowns and short stuff like that you can enjoy, and all the stuff you'll have prematurely before anyone else sees it. So it's going to be very exclusive, and we're going to make sure you guys are getting the most for this, this little bit of money you offer to us to support our channel every month. And we really appreciate all the love you've been offering and the kind words we've seen in the comments. And I'm excited. We'll do some Madden stuff. We'll set up a fantasy football league for the members, and we'll have a really good time with you guys at an exclusive level and platform. So that'll be a really fun time for us to get closer with you and make sure this is just the best community that we can possibly build. So I'm excited about that, Anthony. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video talking about the various topics we discovered and discussed. So make sure to subscribe below on YouTube. Notifications on Apple and Spotify, my friends. Little bell thing on YouTube to keep that flowing so you get notified when we are posting a new video. And of course, appreciate all the love as always, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.